my name is Claudia. I run the marketing and sales here at Horizon Trust. So you guys see me all on the webinars most of the time that we get on here. Very familiar with my face, but we have some new faces. Chris has been in one of these webinars before. So Chris is our operations manager. She is responsible for anything operations. So she runs the department where all the money comes in and all the money comes out. So any transaction that you guys are doing investment-wise, her team is reviewing the documents, making sure that they're compliant with the IRS, and that we go ahead and get everything situated so that we can go ahead and protect our clients. We also do verbal verifications. Everybody that's done a transaction is very aware of the verification process. That is just to protect you guys, to make sure that we are not running into anything where we're sending out wires to a fraudulent company. So we're going to get you on the phone, make sure you're aware of what your investment is and where the money's going, and then get a verification from you. So that's our team. Chris, welcome.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. That was a great introduction. You did better than I would be able to do. So thank you.
I'm excited for you to be on this because obviously you see all of the investments. You're able to see all of our clients and what they're investing in. So it's actually really cool to have you here. So
Awesome. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
yeah. Our next guest is going to be a new face you guys haven't seen, but most of you guys have talked to him. If you're a client of Horizon Trust and you have done an investment, our investment specialist, Danny, is the one that gets on the phone with you, and they get on the phone with the investment company to make sure that all of the supporting documents on there. So he's like our concierge VIP person that gets on the phone with the clients, does that concierge hand holding that we talk about, and actually goes through the investment with the client and with the investment company. So I'm really excited to have him. He decided last minute to be on here. So he is a little nervous, but he's very knowledgeable. He knows how it works. He knows how to talk to clients, and he's very comfortable on the phones. So I think he's going to do great. So Danny, welcome.
Thank you so much. Hopefully the nerves don't translate like through the screen, but so happy to be here.
Awesome. Oh, we have a client for 22 years, guys.
Oh, we love that.
Wow, Miranda. That's a lot of years. Okay. So we want to go ahead and start by doing our typical disclaimer. We are a passive custodian, so we are not allowed to give any investment advice. All of our clients know that. We at Horizon Trust are built on education. So we'll educate you, we'll answer your questions, but we're not allowed to tell you, yeah, you should do that investment. You'll know that from everybody that you talk to from the beginning of the account process all the way to the funding of the investment. So anything that we talk about today is not investment advice, and we're not investment advisors. So the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and go into a small presentation about Checkbook LLCs. We always do polls with our clients and our new clients on what they want to learn and what is more interesting to them. As we develop this, we have learned that Checkbook LLCs are just an investment vehicle and something that clients really do love. My background comes from entity formations. So I was in an entity formation company for 13 years before I got to Horizon Trust. So coming from there, I already knew that entities was going to be something that I could implement over here and that people could take advantage of it. So we started kind of talking about it and going over how it works about 2 years ago. And now I would say 20 to 25% of our clients really like this tool and they take advantage of the tool. So I wanted to go ahead and go over that. And then we're going to go ahead and open it for questions. So the first thing we're going to go over is, what is a Checkbook LLC? A Checkbook LLC is going to be an investment tool that you can go ahead and add to your IRA. And what it is, it's the next level to go ahead and give you checkbook control. That's what we like to call it. That's what it's called in the industry. And basically what it means is that you're going to be a manager of an entity that is owned by your IRA. You can go ahead and make decisions on the LLC and what they're doing with investment transactions. You just have to make sure that you're doing everything still compliant with the IRS. So it just gives you increased control of your funds. If you have an investment that needs to get deployed right away, we are the fastest in the industry, as Chris can go ahead and attest and let us know later on. We do all of our transactions within 24 to 48 hours from the time that we get all of the documentation. But from a Checkbook LLC, you can do it same day. You don't have to come to us with any kind of questions. Obviously, if you have questions, you still want to go ahead and come to our concierge department and ask them any questions regarding the LLC. But this LLC lets you go ahead and do a tax lien on behalf of your IRA within the same day, do a wholesaling transaction within the same day, which sometimes that is the make or break of a deal, especially if you're doing transactions that require same day kind of funds. So that's why people really like the Checkbook LLC. We don't really recommend it for everybody in our database or our client database. We recommend it for somebody that is knowledgeable with how LLCs work and has either had an LLC or managed an LLC in the past. Not that you can't do it if you've never had one, but it's just easier because if you've already managed an LLC in the past, you already know how it works and you already know how to go ahead and manage that kind of entity. It's just going to be a disregarded LLC for tax purposes because everything is tax deferred or tax free until you go ahead and take the distribution. So it's an easy entity that you can add to your portfolio of entities that you can just go ahead and add for your IRA purposes. We do recommend typically that you keep IRA and Roth IRA funds separately, just because they're two separate kind of funds. And a Checkbook LLC, if you put them into both, it can just be, it can be complicated. Not that you can't do it, but we typically go ahead and recommend that you keep them both separate. What are the advantages of a Checkbook LLC? Like I said, it's going to give you checkbook control, being able to go ahead and have those funds right away. We have clients that call us sometimes and they're like, hey, I need the funds that go out this afternoon. And while we'll try to do our best, it's just not possible. We need to have time to process the documents, time to put them into our processing department so that they can read what is happening with the investment. And then we can go ahead and send the funds out. And we still have to do the verbal verification that I talked about earlier today. So we have to call you. We have to make sure that you have all of your documents in front of you, that you read us off all the account information. So with somebody that's doing multiple transactions or just needs the money right away, depending on the investment that you do, it's easier for you to have a Checkbook Control LLC. Another investment that comes to mind that really does require Checkbook LLC, unless you have a platform that can do IRA investments, is crypto. We have a lot of clients, younger clients now, that are very savvy and they want to go ahead and invest into crypto. So they set up a Checkbook LLC. Now they're doing the platform in the name of the LLC and they can go ahead and start investing themselves. Another one that comes to mind is somebody that wants to be diversified in their IRA. So they want to have a syndication fund that they're invested in, they want to have some crypto, they want to have some precious metals. So they want to have several investments going at once. A Checkbook LLC is something that that would be really beneficial for them so that they don't have to be coming to us every time that they're doing an investment. Diverse investment opportunities, you can, like I said, you can go ahead and diversify. That's the same kind of thing. Efficient custodian-free transactions. So we don't have any custodian transaction fees here at Horizon Trust, but with a Checkbook LLC, you will never have any transactional fees either way. So we at Horizon Trust don't have any kind of transactional fees, but that is something that is an advantage as well. Tax-free transactions, since a Checkbook LLC is self-directed, it's tax deferred for the time that you have the LLC. So when you go ahead and want to take a distribution from the LLC, let's say you have an investment that pays off, what you would do is you would transfer the funds back to Horizon Trust, and then from there you can take a distribution. So one of the things that people sometimes get confused with is that they think that they can take the distribution straight from the LLC, and then they call Chris and they're like, hey, I took $50,000 last year and I want to go ahead and report it. That's not the way that it works. You do have to, the distribution has to be recorded by Horizon Trust as your custodian. So what you have to do is put the money back into the LLC, and then from the LLC, you can do the distribution. Let's go over a couple of disadvantages of Checkbook LLCs. Like I said before, I don't recommend this for everybody, which is why we don't push it to all of our clients. We just want to make sure that you guys know that you have the tool. So some of the disadvantages for a Checkbook LLC will be that you'll have a higher level of responsibility. If you put any money that didn't come with Horizon, any funds that are deployed from your IRA, you're coming straight to us and we are verifying that it's something that you can do. When you have a Checkbook LLC, that doesn't happen. Unless you call us and tell us, hey, I'm looking at this investment, can I go ahead and do this? We won't know what happens in that LLC. Once a year, you will have to do what we call a fair market valuation, which means that you're going to go ahead and sign a document with all of the investments and provide a bank statement for that Checkbook LLC to show us what happened throughout the year. But if you did something within the year that was prohibited, we won't know about it. So we want to make sure that we let you know that the level of responsibility is going to be higher for anybody that does own this kind of asset in their IRA. And it is, you have to be knowledgeable and make sure that you're not doing anything prohibited. Independent maintenance of account records. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and do the fair market value once a year, but any kind of accounting records or any kind of documentation will be in the name of the LLC and will be kept by you. It's not something that would come to us at all, unless we have a question on an investment or the fair market valuation needs to have the supporting documentations. We'll ask for those. But anything else, you will be keeping record of the bank account, what comes in, what goes out, what kind of payments you do. Let's say you have a property and you need to go ahead and pay the light bill for the month, then you would keep record of that invoice in your records and in the name of the LLC and have the funds come out from the Checkbook LLC. The LLC flow chart. So I wanted to go ahead and put like what it looks like to have an LLC in your IRA so that everybody can be kind of knowledgeable as to how it looks, because it does get a little bit confusing with the bank account and what the IRA LLC is. So in this first example, it's going to be for an IRA. So Horizon Trust will hold your IRA. So the circle in this example is going to be the self-directed IRA. The self-directed IRA is going to do an investment that is called the Checkbook LLC. So the investment itself is the IRA LLC, Aloha Capital in this example. Aloha Capital is going to go to a bank. We have banks that we work with that know this type of structure and they don't get confused. Sometimes when you walk into a regular bank or you walk into a credit union, you tell them, oh, I have an IRA LLC. They will stop all transactions and they'll think that you're doing something wrong. It's just a disregarded LLC, and that's all you have to tell your bank. But we do have banks that we work with that can go ahead and get that done. So this one, it's an IRA LLC. The bank account is going to be in the name of the IRA, and that's going to be tied to your IRA LLC. That will give you the checkbook control. Once you have that bank account, we will work, Danny does this all day. You will work with Danny so that you can go ahead and transfer the funds from the Horizon Trust account into that bank account. So the bank account is the bank account for the IRA LLC in this example. Where it can get a little confusing is in our 401k structure. So our 401k structure, in order to qualify or to be able to have a 401k, you have to have a sponsor company. The sponsor company is going to be your active business. So let's say you own a consulting business that you're going to go ahead and set up a 401k for. The restrictions are, or the qualifications are, that you have to be, the only kind of 401ks that we do here at Horizon is a solo 401k. So a solo 401k would mean that you are the only owner of the business or that you have partners. So you and your spouse can be a partner, or you and somebody else can be partners. Those qualify, those kind of entities qualify for a 401k. What does not qualify for a solo 401k is if you have employees. So if you have anybody on payroll that is in that sponsor company, that would not qualify. So in this example, your sponsor company is Apex Solutions LLC. That's going to be your active business. That's what you run every day. That's how you make money. That's how you pay yourself a payroll. That's that kind of entity. That LLC is going to sponsor a 401k, that's what's going to be the self-directed 401k from Horizon Trust. So the solo 401k will go ahead and transfer funds if you have a resigning custodian, or if you're doing a large contribution, if you worked with your CPA and you qualify for a large contribution from the sponsor company, that's where it's going to go. Then that Horizon Trust account is going to have an investment that is a Checkbook LLC. So in this example, Apex Capital Holdings, as you can see, the name variations are usually really similar just because it's easier. Like my business is Bentley Solutions, and then my solo 401k LLC would be Bentley Holdings or something like that, just because it's easier for you guys to go ahead and keep tabs of what the entities are. That being said, you have to make sure that you're running the money through the right LLCs. You have to remember which one's the investment LLC and which one is the sponsor LLC. And if you have any questions, just call us so that we can go over it with you. So it's typically where clients get a little held up on questions, but once we explain it to them or we show them a chart like this, it's easier for them to understand what the flow of funds are. So the LLC banking account is going to be in the name of Apex Capital Holdings, and that's where your 401k LLC is going to be investing through. Top 5 mistakes to avoid. This is what Chris and Danny see all the time of things that might go wrong or clients think that they can do. I just had a client this morning ask me, "Oh, so if I own an IRA, if I own a property in my IRA, can I just buy it from me?" So, Chris, can you do that? Can
No.
yeah. So that goes into the self-dealing aspect of owning an IRA, owning a property in your IRA. You can do a distribution, which you can do a distribution of an asset. A lot of people don't realize that. Because we're in alternative investing kind of world, you can go ahead and do that. But definitely call us and go over how that works, because it's not something it's not difficult, but it's definitely a conversation that you would want to have with your CPA, first of all, and then with us to see how it works. But 5 top mistakes to avoid: investing in disqualified assets. And this is important because when you're doing these investments, if you're doing the investment through your Horizon Trust account, we're looking at all that paperwork. So Chris's team is responsible for literally overviewing every single document that comes in. If you're doing it within the Checkbook LLC, we're not looking at those documents. So if you think that you might be in a disqualified asset, or if you're not sure, definitely call us, because we don't want you to end up in a prohibited transaction. We might catch it at the FMV part of it, but sometimes it doesn't get caught until you're either trying to make a distribution back from your Checkbook LLC, or you're trying to, make us fix something that we didn't do. Another one is commingling funds. So you can't take funds, personal funds and IRA funds or 401k funds from a Checkbook LLC and put them together to do any kind of investment. That is called commingling, and it is prohibited. It's prohibited whether you do it from your Horizon or Trust account or you do it from your Checkbook LLC. So in short, everything that we wouldn't allow you to do from Horizon Trust from your account, you're not allowed to do in this LLC. So just think of it that way. Anything that we would say no to, that's what you would say no to from your Checkbook LLC as the manager. The only thing is that as the manager, you're responsible for those mistakes. We wouldn't be able to be, not that we're responsible because we are a passive custodian anyways, but we wouldn't be able to kind of get in front of them. Not keeping receipts or investment documents. This is a big mistake. If you are paying the light bill, if you're paying the handyman for a property through your Checkbook LLC, everything has to be paid through the Checkbook LLC for any investment that is in the Checkbook LLC. So make sure you keep all your receipts, all of the documents, so that you can go ahead and easily access them, and make sure that you have all documentation for us in case we need it or the IRS needs it. Taking funds out for personal use. Obviously, this is a no-no. You can't take any funds from the Checkbook LLC. Any profits or losses that go are coming in from the LLC, out of the LLC, in from the LLC, out of the LLC. So that's important. Not using LLC name on investment documents. So this is important because sometimes when people have done investments through their Horizon Trust account, they're very used to Horizon Trust, FBO, their name, and the IRA. In this type of scenario, when you have a Checkbook LLC as the asset, you're going to be using that LLC name on all investment documents. So all of it has to be titled in the name of the LLC. Checkbook LLC maintenance. So what is it that you need to do to have this type of LLC? You are going to have to establish an LLC. It has to be a specialized LLC, only because you have to have a specialized operating agreement. This is like any other investment, has to go through our operations team, and our operations team has to accept it as a qualified investment. So the specialized operating agreement has specific verbiage that is going to make it allowable for us to go ahead and put that money into that investment. Do you want to go over like what kind of verbiage that specialized operating agreement has, just like in general?
Yeah. So some of the items that need to be within that operating agreement are that managers can't receive compensation for running that business. Also, that you won't interact with others who are considered prohibited or disqualified parties, so like lineal descent, or yourself personally. We're also looking for just your initial contribution amounts. We need to know who the managers are of this business, because it can be yourself personally. You can also have your spouse or anyone else. Most people don't choose to have anybody else because they're not getting compensation for it. But you can usually have more than one manager, but we just need to have that listed out. The one other major item that we need is who the member is. It needs to specifically mention that you're IRA, your retirement account, is going to be the member and not yourself personally. So we just need to have that connection that is going to connect your account to this LLC. And that's the type of documentation that some banks look for, to make sure that, there's authorization for the connections, I guess, between, and then who's able to sign off on behalf of this LLC also. So that's where the manager's name and signature, it needs to be added within that.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see, it does have to be a specialized operating agreement. We do have clients that will say, oh, I can just do it with the state and I can just provide the documents. It's not that easy. It does have to be very, very particular, and the verbiage has to be very specific so that it can go through our processing of compliance. So the articles of organization, EIN letter, the bank account. So that's something that if you go ahead and do the Checkbook LLC, will help you with. That's any LLC, you need to have that. Maintaining the LLC in good standing. A lot of people are like, oh, well, do I have to pay filing fees at the end of the year? Yes. It's just like any other LLC. Any LLC, you'll have to have a renewal at the end of the year at the end of the month that it was established. So that's no different. This kind of LLC will have the same kind of process. The valuation of the LLC, we talked about this earlier, which will be the fair market value. We will send you reminders at the end of the year, all the way up until March, I believe March, they are due. And that's just going to tell you, hey, you need to do the evaluation of the LLC. This is what we require. If we need anything else, you'll have one of our concierge representatives call you and ask you what needs to get, or tell you what needs to get submitted. Why keep Horizon around? You can't have a Checkbook LLC without a custodian. So you need to have a custodian that can go ahead and hold that type of asset. We do all of the tax reporting to the IRS, contributions, distributions, rollovers. Those all have to go through a custodian. So it's not like you can do it from a Checkbook LLC. You would have to still have a custodian that can do it for you. Here is the Checkbook LLC process. It's super simple. You go ahead and call us. You tell us that you want to go ahead and add a Checkbook LLC to your account already. If you don't have an account, you can set it up at the time that you're setting up the account with your IRA specialist. You're going to go ahead and do the Checkbook LLC order form. We'll send it to the entity formation company that we contract to go ahead and do this type of service for us. They're going to do the LLC. Then you're going to talk to Danny on our team. He's going to go ahead and help you with opening of the bank account and make sure that your supporting documentation is correct with all of the titling and all of the funds that are going to go into this Checkbook LLC. And then it goes to Chris's team. Chris's team is going to go ahead and make sure that all of the documents are correct, that the funds are correct, that everything looks right. Then they're going to call you to do a verbal verification and a text verification. Make sure that it is you that's trying to do this kind of transaction. And then we go ahead and send the funds, which is the investment part of it. And then you have a Checkbook LLC. So super straightforward. That is all I have for this part of the webinar. I hope it was helpful. I hope that you guys learned a little bit more about Checkbook LLCs. I know that every time that we ask, what do you want to learn about? It's something that has to do with Checkbook LLCs. So we were really happy to go ahead and go over that information with you guys today. It looks like we already have questions coming in. So let's go ahead and start with questions. Oh, if you want more information, or if you want to talk to your representative about Checkbook LLCs, I'm going to have Alicia put the link in the chat so that you guys can go ahead and schedule your appointment. So, okay, let's start with some questions. Thomas is asking, if I am self-directing, am I responsible for reporting anything to the IRS or government showing that I am following what I am supposed to be doing with the funds? Chris.
Yeah. So when you have your account and your funds and your investments within the account, it's not often that you would need to report anything. When you start taking things out, your assets, the cash as a distribution, that is a reportable thing. So moving money out of your account is where you'll have to showcase or show details. Like there are tax documents that we'll actually do your 1099 and provide that for you, and that's what you'll take from when you file your taxes. But other than that, there's not many circumstances where you'll need to do any kind of reporting. There are some, but it's not as often as others. So
very good. I have George here that's asking, rather than invest in a company, can I loan money to a company with my 401k?
You can most definitely loan money. Yeah, a promissory note is often done often. So we always look at an investment and we'll say, okay, here's a business. You say you want to invest with this business, but what is the structure of it? There's many different ways that you can invest into that one business. A promissory note is definitely one of them. It's a very common way of doing it. It's literally an IOU on paper. So those are great. We love those. Those are secured or unsecured. As long as you're not interacting with someone who's considered a disqualified person or party, then yes, absolutely, you can most definitely do a promissory note and lend to a LLC.
Perfect. And then when the money comes back, how does the interest pay back to either the LLC or the account itself?
Yeah. So when money comes back in, you would just need to, if it's coming directly into your retirement account held with us, then you will just inform us how the money should be split, whether it's principal, interest payments, or a combination of the two. Dividends, there's so many different ways that you can add it back in, but you'll just need to notify us of exactly how the money should be allocated back. We ask that you fill out a form that is called a deposit submission form. I don't know why I got stuck on that one. It's a deposit submission form and it will break down like this is the asset. How are we supposed to put the funds back into the account? So we'll take that information and then we'll allocate it to the account. But if it's an LLC, you are the manager, you would go ahead and, you have your record keeping. You would go ahead and notate how the money is coming back into the account. If you have some kind of log, that would be the best thing. But you would just put the money back into your LLC's bank account and you can hold it there until the next deal is available. Or if you're ready to send the money back to Horizon Trust into your account, you can just move the money back over. So anytime money comes back into the account, we ask for a deposit submission form to tell us how the money gets put back into the account.
Perfect. Thank you. Somebody is asking, where can I find a list of disqualified assets?
Well, on our website, we actually have where they're considered prohibited transactions or assets that you cannot invest in. The funny thing about it is IRS sets those, and it is a very small list of what you cannot invest in. There's a huge, well, because they're only listing a small amount, there's so many opportunities that you can invest into. So some of the things that you cannot invest into is mainly like collectibles. So art, alcohol, drugs.
No, rugs.
Oh, rugs. I was like, rugs. Interesting. Okay. That's where we're going with it. Yes, rugs. Precious metals is actually on the list, but it is IRA, things that are not IRA approved metals. So there are certain ones that you cannot do. But again, on our website, it's really easy to find. We have a list of what is considered not qualified investments. And also IRS's website, irs.gov. That's always a place that I suggest people look into. Their verbiage is kind of hard to go through and read. So we try to simplify it on our website.
Yeah. And Danny, you talk to all of our clients when they're doing the investment. What are you typically seeing as the most common investments right now?
Most common right now would be more in the real estate realm. So anything has to do with a PPM. Like Chris mentioned, promissory notes come in every single day, and we love them because they are pretty much a very simple structure, but it can get very complex as well. So limited partnerships, PPMs, those are going to be more in the syndication deals, which right now are super popular just because they have a long period of time when it comes to the investment, that you're just holding that investment and accruing that interest. So for now, I've seen a lot of mainly PPMs.
PPMs. And how does the process usually work? Like when you're working with the investment company and you're working with the client, give us a little bit a rundown of how it works and how easy it is.
So yeah, it's super simple. I try to make it as simple as possible for you guys. So normally you guys are gonna book an appointment with me just as your first investment walkthrough. I try to gather as much information as I can to see where can I assist, especially if it's a company that we have worked with before. That way I can expedite things a little bit faster. As long as you guys provide me with the paperwork, I can guide you and steer you into the right direction of how to get this accomplished. It gets a little bit complicated when you guys have very strict timelines, but I do my best. I bother Chris a lot to see if she can review or help me out and help you guys out to meet whatever deadlines you have. I cannot make any promises just because I need to make sure that paperwork is okay. But when everything falls into place and everything's good, then normally we can get those investments and our regular processing time, which is 2 to 3 business days.
Yes.
And if in any scenario things get super complicated, you guys can always just loop in the investment company, and I'll gladly take the driver's seat and try to see where I can assist as that custodian.
Thank you. Somebody's asking, what is a PPM? So any of you guys can tell us.
I'll let the expert go.
I knew that was happening. I saw the looks coming this way. A PPM is short for private placement memorandum. It's usually where a business or an LLC has the structure of pooling money together from multiple investors, and it's usually for the purpose of some kind of real estate. And it's like an LLC and a stock combined. That's kind of how I simplify it, because you usually have a price per share of what your return is going to be, and it gives you a lot of details in it. It usually gives you a whole list of what they're going to use your money for, what properties they're buying, what the return is, who's involved. It's just kind of the two of those combined. Those are kind of really cool because you'll end up seeing like examples, strip malls being built and all these different businesses all being included, and you now have a piece of it. So it's sounds more complicated than it is, but that's the best way I can think of explaining what a PPM is.
Yeah, it's actually something that our clients are using very, very often. The way that it was described by a syndication investment company is they are the managers and doing all of the work. You guys are just investors. So for an IRA kind of investment, it's actually the best kind that we see that people like. One of the best ones. I shouldn't say the best one, but one of the ones that they like because they don't have to do anything. They literally say, hey, I'm going to make a $50,000 investment from my IRA. They send the $50,000 and then they just get interest payments every month or quarterly, whatever you decide with the investment company. So it's something that Danny does on a daily basis.
I've grown to love them so much that like it's actually pleasurable to read the entire 155 pages. So they're really good investments, especially for retirement accounts, just because of the prolonged period of time that you're holding it and you're just accruing interest, which is building your account. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people think that when we say real estate, we mean hold property, which is
Right.
what most people are familiar with. It's not holding property. Real estate can be all sorts of things, and you can go ahead and diversify only in the real estate realm, and then you have all the other alternative investments. So it's very diverse once you get to know what the options are. All right, I had Darlene. She said I had a few questions. If you can respond. Did you put them in the questions? Let me see if I can find them, Darlene. Or if you want to put them in the questions section, I can go ahead and I don't see any from Darlene, but I will be more than happy to answer them for you. Let's if you want to put them in the questions, I will go ahead and get them. I will move on to one while I wait for them. All right, David. David is asking, hi, what kind of expenses can I pay from the Checkbook LLC? Is education or training a legal expense?
No, unfortunately, education is not an eligible expense to pay for. So it is things that are directly related to your retirement account, as far as like your investments and things like that. But personal use, that unfortunately would not qualify for an expense from your accounts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people ask us that all the time, and unfortunately, no. Ray is asking, can one pay for their travel to investigate an investment?
Well,
So if I have a property in Minnesota and I need to go see it because I'm buying it in my IRA, can you pay travel expenses through your IRA?
no,
Yeah, no,
no.
can't do that. Because the answer is no. I wish we could, because then we would be able to write off everything.
Yeah.
Right, right. Because again, you're still personally gaining. It's something that you're going and doing yourself. So that's just like if you have the real estate property, you can't live in that property. You can't do maintenance on that property.
Mhm.
Those are things that you're personally gaining from. And I know you're probably like, well, how do I gain from doing the work on it? But you're not paying someone out for these things that should be paid for. You're cutting yourself a better deal. Like there's just a lot of gray area in there. So unfortunately, no, that's not an option.
Yeah. Great question, though. Okay, so Darlene is asking, I'm connected to Fundrise. Can my account with them somehow be tied into my account with Horizon? I'm not familiar with Fundrise.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually.
Good. Here we go. This is I have her.
So the thing is, when you connect with third parties like that, they have to be willing and able to accept funds from a retirement account, another custodian. So I would consider them kind of similar to like a brokerage account. Anytime there's a brokerage account relationship, we need to see the application, your initial application, and it needs to list who the investor is. If the investor can be listed as your account with us, your Horizon Trust, FBO, Jane Doe, IRA, as that investor, the person who's opening that account, then possibly. But again, you'd have to reach out to Fundrise to see if they would be able to. I feel like because they are on, it's an online platform. Places like that typically don't have paper applications or printout application that we would be able to see and check in with. So I would just check in with that company to see if that's something that they would be able to do. On our end, yes, the answer is yes. They do some kind of syndication deals, from what I remember, with Fundrise. So the deal itself is fine, but it's the relationship. We have to make sure that they are willing to work with us, and so we can work with them. So we are very form based. We need to have in writing because we need to be able to have record of it down the line, in case of any issues or anything that may come up down the line. We just need to be able to refer back to it. So
Perfect.
possibly is the answer.
Thank you. Somebody's asking, can investments be made in REITs?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the investments that our clients like to have as well. Tax liens, REITs, anything that has to do with basically investing in real estate, you can typically do it with your IRA. Darlene is asking a second question. If I have an IRA, can it be switched over to Horizon? What are the steps to do it? Is there a cost? Okay, Darlene, I can answer this one. So yes, you can go ahead and switch it over to Horizon Trust. It's a very simple process. You would get on the phone with one of our IRA specialists. They'll make sure that account that you have is qualified. If it's an IRA, then it is qualified. But if there's an old 401k, if you're still working, there's a little bit of due diligence that goes in making sure that the account can be accepted. But we would go ahead and do that call. We'll set up the appointment to do an application. We'll do the application. Takes 30 minutes total so that we can go ahead and open the account. And then we're going to go ahead and do a liquidations appointment, which means that we're going to call whoever holds that IRA, wherever the resigning custodian is, along with you on the phone. And then we'll go ahead and request those funds to be sent over to Horizon Trust. After that, you can go ahead and start doing self-directing. So you can go ahead and after that, you talk to Danny. Danny's the next person on our flow chart, basically, that goes through the client experience. He will ask you what your investment is. He will make sure that all of the documentation is correct and that we have everything that we need. And then you'll be able to do your first investment. Total is going to be about 5 to 10 business days, as long as the resigning custodian is sending the funds, as long as you're being proactive and you're actually answering our phone calls and you do the verbal verification, which is for some reason, that's where clients get a little stuck on, why do I have to do a verbal verification? It's for your safety, guys. We're trying to make this, there's a lot of scams going on, especially right now. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are happening. So we want to make sure that we're doing right by our clients. So we try to do everything that we can to go ahead and protect you guys. There is a cost. So that's something that you would talk to your IRA specialist on what the setup and first year annual fee is. It's going to be dependent on how much you're transferring over. Typically, clients are paying between $395 all the way to $1,500, depending on what you're transferring. If you have a Checkbook LLC, it's going to be a little more because we have to set that up. So that's something that you would go over with your investment specialist. Typically less than 1%, which wherever you're holding it is going to be anywhere between 2 to 4% is the typical average for fees. We also don't charge any transactional fees. So we don't have any wire fees, check fees, asset fees, quarterly fees. I mean, you see these fee structures and you're like,
fees, real
what
estate's
is
different.
happening?
Yeah.
They have to have a whole department for fees.
Yeah.
So all transactions are included in your annual fee. So you'll see a one-time fee at the beginning of every year at the beginning of every month when you set up the account. And that's all you would be liable for. So that is how you set up an account with Horizon Trust. We have Colette is asking, does HTC have support for legal questions regarding investments? Example, enforceability of promissory notes, etc. This is something that we get asked a lot. We don't, unless you can go ahead and elaborate on that, but we don't, if something does go wrong with the investment, you have to have your own legal counsel and kind of look at what happened, and they would be the ones that would provide us with loss of asset. And you can go over how that works because that's your department, but we don't have any kind of counsel that we would recommend.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's why we like when it comes to like a promissory note, we would like for our clients to do secured notes just because you have some collateral on there. Obviously, it's not a requirement. You can most definitely do unsecured. You can even do a convertible notes. There's so many options when it comes to notes. But as far as it being enforceable, that is something that you would have to go ahead and do the work on as far as finding a lawyer or attorney to assist you in that process. I always say reach out to the title company who assisted in drafting the paperwork or the lawyers, just because they would know the legal route. We kind of it's a fine line between us being able to assist in things like that, where it may look like we're advising. So unfortunately, we just don't have that ability to go that step forward, especially since every state is different. You have to have a different lawyer who can specialize in that state. So it's a lot of issues that may arise or things that we can't just do. So unfortunately, that's not something we can process for you or assist in. But if there is to be a loss, or if it does have to convert to the property, taking ownership of the property, you would do what's called a fair market valuation, where you would provide us with the details of the result, right? So whether that's the loss, the devaluation, or just converting it to the property or stock, whatever that is, it ends up being, we just need the paperwork for it. We would take that information and we would adjust our records to show what the final result is. But yeah, I wish we had a better answer for you on that, but unfortunately, it's beyond our realm that we can do.
Yeah. All right. So I have Sam here asking, does Horizon Trust offer a trading platform for stocks, options, etc., after transferring self-directed IRA over? I will have Danny answer this because he is very knowledgeable in how that works.
Yes. So we do offer some platforms. One of the ones that we most of the time let our clients know would be our platform at Axos. So it's going to be a completely no cost to you brokerage account, except for some wire fees here and there whenever you're ready to send money back to Horizon Trust. But they do offer that platform where you can go ahead and invest into the stock market. We do offer other platforms such as iFlip, but that one does come with a monthly cost. I believe to start the account with them, it's roughly $10, and then there's a monthly cost after that, just like a subscription. But we do have several platforms that you can utilize to invest into the stock market itself. We also offer, for all the people that are interested into cryptocurrency, we also offer a platform with iTrust. They're a very good company for cryptocurrency. We wish we had more, but just like Chris mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we are willing to work with a lot of platforms, but not every platform is willing to work with us. So it's that little middle ground that we're looking for, where they are okay with, providing our clients access to that platform for them to invest into crypto, stock market, or any of those investments that you guys are looking to do.
Yeah.
I
And
just
that's
wa-
okay.
sorry. I just wanted to add, it's not like they don't necessarily want to work with us. It's
Right.
more of
They don't know how to
they don't
do
know
the
how,
IRAs.
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they just don't know self-directed IRAs. They just assume, oh, it's just a standard IRA. We can't do that. So there's that. They just don't have the knowledge of that. Also, some of these other places have their own platforms. They have their own retirement accounts that they want you to invest in. So versus for them, they want you to stay with them versus sending their money outwards. So it's just kind of that. And yeah, they just usually want to kind of keep it in house, which I get, of course, but we're trying to diversify people's portfolios here and give you all these different types of investments that you can do, which a lot of these bigger companies, they specialize in one
Yeah.
thing. We have everything.
Yeah, one of the things that came up last week is that the new administration is trying to pass crypto in IRAs. So like Vanguard can go ahead and offer it like all of these big ones, which it's like, well, we're alternative investment. We want that kind of business. But it would take them so long to actually implement it, put a process together, implement it, and have all of the rulings. So if you're looking into that kind of investment, it is typically better for you to go ahead and go through an alternative investment kind of company, whether you choose us or choose somebody else. That is the company that's going to know how to do this kind of investing. If you go to Vanguard and you say, hey, the administration said that I could do this now, they're going to be like, yeah, no, not right now. We'll let you know when it's available because it's definitely not going to be anytime soon. All right. So I have Tracy here that's asking, Are checkbook LLCs good for other types of real estate investments besides PPMs? For example, flips or buy and holds? It's a great question.
That's actually the people who I would think
Yeah.
would want to have an LLC because you're moving so quickly. You need paperwork signed immediately. You need money out immediately. So that is the perfect person to
Yeah.
have a checkbook controlled LLC. Just because again, you have control of your own checkbook. You have direct access to the bank account that has the funds that are available. So for sure, that is definitely something you can do.
Yeah. That's definitely the right kind of investment that you would want in a
Hmm.
checkbook LLC. So any type of where you're having transactions in and out, and you're going to be doing investments on on the spot, that's where you would want a checkbook LLC. Let's see. Ray is asking, how does one find their profit sharing plan after the original company has merged with another company and the original company no longer exists due to the merger? That's a great question. We do have that. That comes up on our IRA specialist. So what you would do is you would call the HR company that is responsible for that plan. So wherever the merger was, that HR company should have the name of the custodian that they used. It's typically somebody that they just merge into one company to the next. So you either adapted the custodian that the new company has, or you kept the same one, and it's just kind of a closed out 401k, and then the next company offers the next 401k. So you just have to ask the HR company. We wouldn't be able to help you find it. That's something that you would have to kind of find on your own. But if you think that there's 401k money out there from a previous employer, even if you were only there for 2-3 years, like call the HR company. Make sure that you're not leaving anything unattended, because there are clients that call us and they were like, well, maybe I do. And then they find out they have $40,000 somewhere. It's like, how did you not know that? So, it's money that's yours that you should be looking at, and you should be making sure that it's doing something with it. Like I said, whether you do it with us or you just call or do an investment and analytics with it, just make sure that you find it. Darlene is asking, do you work with 403Bs? Educators don't have 401ks. Yes, Darlene. 403Bs is something that you can go ahead and transfer as long as you're not actively still an educator. If you are retired or if you went on to another career, we can go ahead and transfer that. It's basically a 401k for educators. So for 403Bs, what are the other ones? The TSPs for people that are in the military. There's all sorts of things. Anything that you are not actively working at that was a 401k or a form of 401k. 401ks are just what private companies call them typically. But if you were at a company or in any kind of government agency and you're not there anymore, you had money that you were investing, that can go ahead and go into an IRA here at Horizon Trust. Darlene, so we have a couple of minutes left, so I'll go ahead and answer a couple of more questions. Colette is asking ESOP. ESOP is something that we can roll over, so just call your investment advisor or your investment specialist, and they'll be able to go over that with you. Let's see, a couple more questions, and then we will kind of wrap it up. How does one? Oh, I already answered that. David is asking, does iFlip offer advanced options trading? I find Axos very limited. I'm not really familiar with iFlip and what they
That
offer.
would be something I would have to research a little bit more. Because again, iFlip is going to be pretty much a subscription for you guys. So if you decide to go with iFlip, that means that they are going to be expecting some sort of fee to be collected. I can do some research on that. If you don't mind, David, just go ahead and drop your email on the chat, and then if anything, I'll go ahead and reach out to you later.
All right. I think we answered all of our questions. Is there anything that you guys think we're missing or that we would want to go over?
I just want to reiterate our speed.
Yes, go ahead.
We're quick. That's it. No, I'm kidding. No, so we've said we have 2 to 3 business days. To be honest with you, on average, we're less than 2 business days. So if we have everything that we need, we will go ahead and start processing, pushing your money out, because we know that you have a deal. We know that you want to move money fast so you can continue to make more money. So if you have any questions on what is needed, you can always call us and we can go over what the structure of your investment is. We can kind of walk you through it. But if you just refer to our direction of investment form, which is where you'll start the transaction, authorizing us to move your money. On there, it has examples of our most common type of investments. You can kind of pick through exactly what it is that's needed for that specific type. But send that on over to us. We'll go through it all. We'll review, we'll process. If for some reason we don't have enough information and we're unsure of what this investment is, we'll reach out. You'll hear from us by phone, by email, text message. We'll reach out to you to make sure that you're in the loop and you are very aware of what is needed in order to proceed. But yeah, we're quick.
Yes, that was one of our company goals, the speed. That's something that we really talk about, and we really push to our in our industry, because that's what makes us different. There are the custodians that are out there, and speed is what makes us the best in our opinion. So we're very proud of our processing speed. It's something that we worked as a team. We implemented new people, we implemented new processes, we implemented a whole basically infrastructure on just speed. How do we make speed as one of our KPIs? So it's definitely something to be proud of, and I am really happy that you brought that up. That's really important. All right, guys. So last, I want to go ahead and put in the chat if this was helpful. If this is something that you learned something from, just put yes or an emoji, something so that we know that this was valuable information, and then we can go ahead and continue doing these and make sure that we get all of your questions answered. So yeah, we have personally, thank you, Darlene, for tuning in. You had great questions. That was awesome.
Great questions. Yeah.
All right, guys, we will see you in 2 weeks. Greg will be back, and he will be doing a presentation on something self-directed. We'll go ahead and ask him what he wants to present on. He has all sorts of topics that he likes to talk about. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Chris, Danny, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See you guys next time.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's lots more great content for you to learn and enjoy and apply to. And so anyways, click on the link below and listen to more videos or set an appointment with us. We look forward to hearing from you and also helping you.